Shalom, shalom. Peace be unto all the brothers and sisters, right? I'm gonna go ahead and start this Think About It Thursday, right? This is Think About It Thursday with the hopeful elect. I'm your brother Azrael, man. We want to give a shalom and a salutation, right, to all those that might get on this and get edified, all those who are in this truth and laboring in the best way they know how. Above, first and foremost, you know what I'm saying? Above all, we want to give all glory, praises, and honor to the Most High God, the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? The Holy One of Israel, by the way of his Son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation, right? What nation? The nation of Israel. Also, a mighty shalom to all those cleavers out there, right, of the other nations that want to cleave unto Jacob, as is prophesied to be in the latter days, right? To take the skirt of a Jew and say, hey, look, I know that the Most High is with you, so take me, right? So shalom to all those submissive cleavers out there, right, doing their part. It's going to be a quick video on do you envy yourself, right? I feel like this could have been a Wisdom Wednesday, right? But it could also be a Think About It Thursday. So do you envy yourself? All right. Shalom to the brother Vontae Parks, right? I pray all is well and you are enduring in this land of captivity, right? Do you envy yourself? I'm gonna have to be a little tech savvy here, and I'm going to share my screen. Hold up 1 second. All right. Chrome tabs. All right. I want to share this real quick just to get us started. Right. It says, there is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness, right? So when reading this, one might say, what does envying yourself mean, right? We know that envying somebody else, we know how we know what that means, right? If I envy my brother, I envy his car, I want his car. I envy his wife and covet his wife, I want his wife. You know what I'm saying? I envy his job, I want his job, right? And we also know we shouldn't envy our oppressors, right? And we shouldn't envy the ways of the wicked, right? We know these things, but what does it mean to envy yourself? Because we don't want to envy ourselves, because apparently it says this is a recompense of his wickedness, right? So we're going to take a deep dive into envying yourself. But first, right, before we dive into that, just so y'all can kind of know in the direction that we're headed, I want to play for y'all this clip, fair use, right? This clip on YouTube. So I'm gonna share my screen again, right? I'm gonna share this short clip on YouTube. Hold up. Right. I'm gonna show this clip right here. If you know anything about The Crew Has It, it's the people from slipping my mind. The people from the cast from it's slipping my mind. Power, right? Power Universe, right? And Ghost. So if you know anything about that, right, they have their own podcast, and they took the writer of Power, right, is a woman, right? This woman right here. And I don't know if y'all can see my mouse, but the woman of Power, right? I'm just all chopped up in my words. Shalom to the brother Obadiah, mighty brother through the Spirit. I pray all is well with you as well, and you're enduring in this land of captivity. So this woman right here in the red, right? She actually is the writer of the Power Universe, right? So all the Power Book 1, Power Book 2, from episode 1, right? I think has stopped and she's taken another gig now, and they have a different writer, but she's written a good bit. But they interviewed her, and she had a lot of good things to say in her interview. So this is what I'm gonna bring out. I'm gonna play this video from this mark right here, 22:50, just in case any of y'all brothers and sisters want to replay it. And she's gonna talk about something, and through the Spirit, it's exactly what we just read in Ecclesiasticus, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and play that.
Tipping point, right? Where you get to a level of success where you're now chasing yourself to
Salakia. Hey, y'all put a 7 in the chat real quick if you can hear that. Right. I want to make sure the audio is coming through clear. Put a 7 in the chat if you can hear that, what she was saying. 7. All right, you can hear that. All right, so I'm gonna rewind it, play it from the top. Where was I at? 22:50.
It's expensive.
Well, I think there's this tipping point, right? Where you get to a level of success where you're now chasing yourself to keep that level of success.
Right.
Like you're sort of in this, like, I can't go get a normal job now because I've had too many. And I watch people go through this where it's like they get a series regular, and then if that doesn't continue, what do I do now?
Right.
Like I can't go manage a Kinko's.
Right.
I gotta like figure out how to do, and it happens to everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
The scarier it gets. To have a freelance life. That's what I chose. We all chose this, right? We chose to have these crazy ass lives.
Yeah. So, you know.
Right. So let me close that out. All right. So, right, the brother Denal's here. I'm gonna add him into the screen. How long you been?
Brother, breaking up.
Huh?
Your Wi-Fi, bro, it be breaking up, man. What do you say? You said how long? What?
How long have you been in the background? I didn't see you there.
I'm talking about just instantly. You brought me up as soon as I popped on.
Oh, all right. Well, just played the video on you.
It's lucky for the brothers.
Kind of going into.
Are you connected to the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, it's going up. It's you cutting off.
Oh, I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, so we just watched on YouTube, Fair Use, by the way.
Yeah, you just cut out though. You said after Fair Use it went blank, bro.
Yeah, I stopped talking because you stopped moving. But all right. Anyway, I'm gonna just talk, man. So we just watched right on YouTube, pretty much her going into it, right? Play it again, man. Cause now you got me thinking that it didn't play through. So let me find it one more time. Right. She said a lot of good things, man. And through the Spirit, it lines up what we read in Ecclesiasticus, right? About envying oneself or envying yourself. Right here. Right.
Getting a business loan has never been easier. But where do you look? Lending.
Let me skip that ad. All right, let me back this up some. Right here. Right, so once again, let me share my screen. Right, so once again, this is Courtney, what's her name? Courtney Kemp, right? The writer for Power Universe. A lot of people thought 50 Cent wrote it, but it was indeed Courtney Kemp, right? So let me share this real quick. All right. All right. And after I share it this time, we're gonna go back to the beginning verse, and we're gonna read that verse again and get into this lesson, right? So let me play this. Well, actually, let me just go ahead and read it first, right? There is Ecclesiasticus 14:6. There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness, right? This is a recompense of his wickedness, meaning you shouldn't envy yourself. So she's going to go into a little bit of how you can envy yourself, because we all do it and we do it unknowingly.
See, I think there's this tipping point, right, where you get to a level of success where you're now chasing yourself to keep that level of success.
Right.
Like you're sort of in this like I can't go get a normal job now because I've had too many. And I watched people go through this where it's like they get a series regular, and then if that doesn't continue, what do I do now?
Right.
Like I can't go manage a Kinko's.
Right.
I gotta like figure out how to do, and it happens to everybody. Everybody freaks out about that. And this is the thing: the higher you get on the chain, the worse it gets.
Right.
Yeah.
The scarier it gets. But again, I'm not complaining because I chose this. I chose to have a freelance life. That's what I chose. We all chose this, right? We chose to have these crazy ass lives.
Yeah. So, Yobo, you know,
Right. So I'm going to keep it up in case we go back there, but let me remove it, right? So let's talk about this, right? Can you envy yourself? Shalom to the sister Ropaj Green, right? Pray all is well with you as well, and you're enduring in this land of captivity, right? Going on to envying yourself, right? And a recompense to your own wickedness, right? How can you envy yourself? She went over a few things, right? They're actors and actresses, and they're saying, like, once I get that one gig that takes me to Hollywood, I don't want to do any of these lower gigs, right? It's up from here. I don't want to have to quit my job and go work at Kinko's again or work at Amazon, right? That's you envying yourself, right? Some may say taking a pay cut, right? That would be you envying yourself. I can't take no pay cut, right? Another form of envying would be um, the car I got now is a 2011. The car I had before this was 2007, right? So I can only keep going up from here. I can't get less than a 2011 from here on out. Even if your budget doesn't allow it, even if you're broke and poor, you envy yourself, right? And you won't let yourself go backwards, right? And that's a recompense, because a lot of times you can gut check yourself, and you can lead yourself to a demise, right? You can call yourself, I just read this in First Corinthians, you can call yourself standing tall, but right, get knocked down to your feet. And that comes from envying yourself, right? We should not envy ourselves. We should always be at a state of humility, and we should always know that the Lord gives and he takes away. Sometimes you do have that six-figure job, and because they want you to work on the Sabbath, you got to go back to working at Amazon. Hey, but you can't envy yourself, because if you envy yourself, you're never going to allow yourself to be humbled. You're going to say, you know what? Hey, it's lawful to do well on the Sabbath. I'm providing for my family. I'm going to keep my six-figure job. But you're not going to keep into account Matthew 5:10, that blessed are they that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, right? So I want to get a few scriptures real quick regarding this lesson, to get some edification on it, right? Let's go to Slovakia. Are you going to read for me?
God.
Right. Go to Luke 14, please.
What?
26.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 14, and verse 26. If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also,
And his what?
and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
Right? So you have to be willing to hate your own life as well. You can't envy yourself, right? Because when you start envying yourself, right, you start loving your life. You start loving yourself. And you tell yourself, man, I can't let myself do that, right? Because you done reached a certain status in life, right? And a lot of times that will allow your mind to deceive itself, right? The heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? It will deceive itself into pretty much like what Sirach says, right? A sinner won't be reproved, right? But find an excuse to do his own will. And that's what envying yourself does, man. You're constantly in a rat race. And you know, that's kind of what America has taught us, right? The westernized world has taught us, and it's bled into other countries as well. They think like this in the UK, right? You can't go from designer to Walmart, right? You can't go, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's everything has to be elevated. And once you get to another step, it's got to be elevated. We're too afraid to be abased, right? So the importance is we need to always be ready to be humble, because in this truth, a lot's going to be taken away from us. We're going to be put in uncomfortable situations. We're going to be in situations that seem embarrassing to people outside of the truth, right? I know a lot of brothers, they work in jobs, right, that's paying $18 an hour, $15 an hour as grown men. You know what I'm saying? In the world, they might have had a job paying 20, 25, but they can't work on the Sabbath, right? They have certain morals and things they have to uphold, right? Some people had to quit their job as a cook because all they was cooking was shrimp and pork. So they had to find a different gig. Some people had to modify their job as a barber because they didn't want to shave brothers' beards off anymore, right? So, you know, you can't envy yourself and not let yourself take that pay cut sometimes, right? I'm gonna go to this scripture as well. If you had a precept?
No, I didn't.
Right. Let's go to Matthew 19 and verse 29. Matthew 19 and verse 29.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19, and verse 29. And every one that has forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life.
Right. So some of us, you know, we might get put in a situation because our faith is being tried and we take that pay cut, right? We take that uncomfortable situation. But the Most High God said, if we forsake it for him, we're going to receive it back. So don't envy yourself, this carnal flesh life. Don't envy that, right? Don't think about things that you could have been. Man, if I was in the world, I'd have this. Man, stop envying yourself, right? A lot of times when we think about envy, we only think about envying other people, right? But you got to think about yourself. Do you envy yourself, right? Will you let yourself be humbled, right? Can you humble yourself? And that's all envying yourself, not envying yourself kind of ties into, right? Can you forsake the things, right, that you know that you think you deserve, right? That's a good way to put it, right? Let's go to Job 27 and 5.
The book of Job, chapter 27, you said verse 5?
Con.
27 and verse number 5. God forbid that I should justify you till I die. I will not remove my integrity from me.
Right? Don't remove your integrity just because of a vain opinion of yours, right? Man, I used to live in a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, man. I can't live in nothing less than that. I can't live in nothing less than that, right? Maybe the Most High God might want you to come back to that 1-bedroom apartment, you know? And you got to go where the Most High God leads you, right? Don't envy yourself. Man, my last car, man, your last car got repoed, brother, right? So you might have to settle for something that's affordable in your price range, right? A lot of times us envying ourselves, man, put us in the hole even further, right? It's just not wise. We deceive ourselves into thinking a certain status, right, it defines your reputation, right? And that's why it's a recompense for your own wickedness. Like Sirach says it's a recompense for your own wickedness. Meaning, guess what? You're not thinking about spiritual things, you're thinking about carnal things. So guess what? Your recompense, right? Your reward for that is that you're gonna be in worse shape than if you would have just been humble. Right? Let's go to Job chapter 1, right? In verse 21. Job chapter 1 and verse 21.
This is the book of Job 1 and verse 21. And it reads, and said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Khan. Salakia. Right? But like the brothers just read, the Lord gives and he takes away. We didn't come in this world with nothing. So we shouldn't be expecting nothing. And we shouldn't be trying to keep nothing. Right? The brother said, gotta be willing to make those sacrifices for them. Hey, look, Matthew 5 and 10. Blessed are they that are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Right? Think on spiritual things and you'll be content, is what the Bible preaches, right? To be content, right? And you won't be worried about having granite countertops. Hey, look, I'm guilty. Yeah, I told myself I'm not moving nowhere that don't got no granite countertops, right? That might be bougie of me, but that's me envying myself, right? I might need to settle down in a better area, right? With less modern fixtures and things of that nature, right? Right? You want to live in the city, and the Most High God is saying, come out the city, right? But you just want to keep that level of status around your friends, like, yeah, man, I'm living a fast life. Sometimes we have to check ourselves and do what the Most High God called us to do, right? Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 11 and verse 21.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 11 and verse 21. Marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Lord, and abide in thy labor. For it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord on the sudden to make a poor man rich.
Right? And look, it's an easy thing to make a poor man rich. You can go from not having a job to being 6 figures, right? So don't worry if you have to take that pay cut. Don't worry if you have to be less of who you think you are, right? For a time. Because if you keep laboring for the Lord, guess what? It's an easy thing to make a poor man rich, right? He's the one that got all the power. He's the one that gave the power to Nebuchadnezzar and give the power to Pharaoh. So he can give that power to you if he really want to, right? It could be any day where you just walk in Walmart and run across a old friend that's a CEO of a company that he started and he want to give you a job. That's all the Most High. You say all praises to the Most High. You go to your car, you praising him, right? But it's an easy thing to the Most High, right? Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 28 and let's go to verse 17.
Acts 28 and verse 17.
Salakia, 1 second. Salakia. Oh, let me get this instead. Go to Acts chapter 9.
What verse?
Um, Go start at verse. All right, yeah. I want to say start at verse 1. Actually, yeah, just start at verse 1.
The book of Acts, chapter 9, and verse number 1. And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And as
Right.
he
So
journeyed,
Saul, right? So Saul is a king, right? And he's got some favor, he's got some power. He's a king, right? Got some weight to his name, and he's persecuting the church right here. Right? We know that his name was later changed to Paul, but this is Saul right here who's a king, right? Some of us are kings in our own little worlds, and some of us lead our brothers and our sisters astray once upon a time, right? So keep reading.
and as he journeyed, he came near to Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven.
Right.
And
So when
he
we come
fell
into
to
the
the earth.
truth, right? A lot of times that light come on. What is that light? The commandments, right? The law, right? It's a light unto our path. So just like Paul, he saw that light, right? He saw the truth, right? Keep reading.
And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
Right. And so a lot of us, some of the works and deeds that we were doing, right, outside when we were not in the truth, even sometimes in the truth, our works persecute the Most High God because it's saying that he was on that cross in vain, right? So the Lord is saying, Paul, why persecutest thou me? Right? Keep going.
And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
Right? Keep reading.
And he trembling and astonished said, Lord, what wilt thou have me do? And the Lord
Right?
said unto him,
Right? He said that. You know why he's trembling? Because he realized he was wrong. A lot of us, when we realize we're wrong, instead of trembling and humbling ourselves and asking what should we do, we deceive ourselves and we do what we want to do. Right? Keep going.
Come. And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told to thee what thou must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. And
Right?
Saul arose from the earth.
Right. So now skip to verse 12.
And has seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered and said, Lord, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he has done to thy saints at Jerusalem.
Right.
And
So
he,
he did a lot of evil, right, in the sight of the saints. He's the reason why they were scattered, right, all throughout Judea and parts of Samaria and parts of Italy and things of that and Rome, right? That's why he had to go gather those people back. But I want to get to the point, right? The point that I want to get to is this. the point I want to get to. Salakia. Salakia. Bear with me, bro. 1 second. 1 second. Right, go to verse 16.
Verse 16. For I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake.
Right, so he told him, he said, look, you persecute the church, so you must be persecuted for my name's sake. Now, Saul, right, had a decision to make. He could have envied himself and said, nah, I'm a king. I'm gonna keep persecuting the church, even though I know it's wrong. Right? He could have said, nah, they gave me this position of power. You saying I gotta suffer. Right? He could have said, and that would have been envying himself, right? But instead, Paul became humble, right? And he took on that suffering and he said, I die daily in protest of Christ, right? And he became Paul, right? So a lot of us, instead of wanting to stay Saul all the time, and we envy in ourselves, when it's time to become Paul and we have to be brought low and we must suffer, a lot of us, we have to be able to do that, right? We can't envy ourselves. Let me read that one more time, right? Let me share this real quick. I'm gonna share the topic scripture. All right. Let me pull this up. Where is it at? Can you see it?
Not yet. It's just still loading.
All right.
Yeah,
Right. So
that might even pay for the higher speed Wi-Fi, bro.
this is supposed to be it, man. I don't know what's going on. Somebody next door, someone must be trying to use it or something. I don't know. But it says Ecclesiasticus 14:6, there is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness, right? If Paul would have envied himself and said, nah, I'm already a king. I can't be less than a king. I can't suffer, right? Guess what? He would have suffered the recompense of his wickedness, but he became humble, right? As we all must do. And we all must every single day remind ourselves not to envy ourselves, right? You know from the 10 Commandments not to envy your brother or your sister or covet their houses or whatever. But guess what? Don't envy the last house that you was in. Don't envy the last pair of shoes that you had, right? I had this pair, so I gotta get this pair, right? Don't envy the salaried positions that you might come across, right? If you gotta take a pay cut, take a pay cut, right? If you gotta pawn some of the stuff in your house so you can make ends meet, don't be that person to be unwise, right? And say, I can't do that, right? I want to go here too, right? Let's go to Luke chapter 1 and verse 52.
You said 52?
Right.
Luke chapter 1 and verse 52. He has put down the mighty from their seats and exalted them of low degree.
Right. So, hey, look, even if you have to become of low degree, right, just go ahead and do it, because that's how you'll be able to be exalted. Once you're at the top, you can't be exalted no more. Right. That's all a deception. Right. When people want to just keep getting more and more and more and more, look, you already at the top. The only way from there is down. But when you are down, if the Most High God chooses to bring you down, guess what? He can bring you up. There's plenty of room for growth, right? Um, so I want to read this. This will be the closing precept. Psalms 37 and 11, right? Psalms 37 and 11.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 37 and 11. But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace.
Read that one more time.
But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace.
Right? The meek shall inherit the earth. That word meek means to be lowly, to be humble, right? To not have pride. A lot of times that pride will make you envy yourself, right? A lot of times, because of pride, we can't admit when we're wrong. We can't admit when we went too far, right? So with that being said, hey, look, don't envy yourself. Think about this on a daily. Do not envy yourself. Every decision that you make, every tough decision that you make when you're thinking about your reputation, right? Be content with nothing. So that way, everything that's added to your life is a blessing. And you can count your blessings and be reminded that the Most High God is working in your life, right? But with that, I'm going to say Shalom. Brother Denal, you have anything?
Nothing for real, man, but that was a mighty lesson. And that's what it really just comes down to is pride at the end of the day. That's what it is when you come down to envying yourself, man. It's just pride. And when you notice that, you know it's nothing but the adversary in your ear, right? That's telling you all these things. Not to and the crazy part is, man, we do these things. The brother kind of hope the brother's hope his thing didn't die, but we do these things kind of to ourselves, right? And what happens is Salakia, and what happens is, hey, look, the adversary or Satan is in our ear, and we end up tearing ourselves down. One, we know pride is the beginning of a fall, right? Pride leads to destruction. We know this, right? And Satan gets in our ear, man, and we thinking we're making our moves to do at like progress us, but then we ended up, taking 5, 10 steps back, like the brother was saying. And so we got to notice that and nip it in the bud. Um, and so, one thing you also touched on that I wanted to bring out was, sometimes God will put us in those situations where He's raising us up and then bringing us back down, raising us up and bringing us back down. And we got to be able to be humble enough to go with the Spirit, right? You can't fight against the Spirit. And I think you brought up one instance where you were talking about, the most, pretty much saying, paraphrasing, that the Most High brought us to those situations, and it made me think of Joseph, right? How Joseph, his brothers thought that they put him in that situation in Egypt, that they sent him to Egypt, right? And he told his brother, and he said, "Hey, look, man, hold up, Slocky. I didn't know you was trying to come back on, but dang, where'd brother go?" But what I was saying was, Joseph started relaying to them and saying, "Hey, look, man, it wasn't y'all that brought me here. It was the Most High God. God placed me here, and it was for a purpose. God brought me low to bring me up, right? Which is mighty. But you gotta be willing to ride on that roller coaster with the Most High. And at the end of the day, he brought out Job, which is a great book. Not only the scriptures that he brought up, right, but Job in himself was a great testament of somebody that had to go on that ride, you know,
Right. And
that
also,
the Most High is orchestrating.
right. And also, Job's wife tried to, she was envying her old life. Like, we used to have all this land, our kids used to be this and that, and we used to have all this cattle. You need to curse God and die, Job. Just curse God and die. Because, right, I'd rather die than to be living in a state of suffering, right? And that's what happens when you envy yourself and you're used to a certain way of living and you're not content with just nothing, right? You will curse God and die, and that will be the recompense of your wickedness. But Job kept his integrity. He knew that the Most High giveth and he taketh away, right? And he didn't envy the things that he used to have. And guess what? He got it back 100-fold, just like the precept said.
God, the sister said, humble yourself so the Most High won't have to humble you, because He definitely will, right? He definitely will, and it's nothing wrong with we got to know there's nothing wrong with humbling ourselves and knowing that we don't really deserve nothing at the end of the day. So anything that we've had in the past, we didn't deserve that anyway. So we can't be comparing ourselves to our past life. Same thing with when we first came into the truth, there was a little snippet. I'm not gonna say who said it, right? But we can't be comparing our spouses to things back in the world and stuff like that, right? We're on this roller coaster, and it's called the will of God. So whatever the Most High has a will for us, we got to take it, right? We got to take it cheerfully. You know what I'm saying? But I like the sister when she said, "Humble yourself, so the Most High don't humble you." Paraphrasing, just because it makes me remember that precept that pretty much says, "Hey, those that esteem themselves to be something, the Most High will abase." Right? And that's even if you're esteeming yourself against your own self. He's gonna bring you down low before you even know it, because now, hey, look, you're so picky about where you work and what kind of job you do. Now you're jobless, right? You don't
Right.
put yourself out of job.
And that's a recompense to your own wickedness, just like the precept says. And like the brother said, this goes into multiple categories and multiple scenarios and multiple areas of your life. Like the brother said, even with spouses, right? In the world, you was like, man, I can't, man, my last girlfriend looked like this. My last boyfriend looked like this. I can't get with so and so. They don't look the part. But that spouse right there, so and so that you said don't look the part, that could be everything that your spirit needs. And that could be the person that the Most High God sent to you. But because you envy yourself and you're so carnal, you won't allow yourself to have that blessing that the Most High God gave you. So envying yourself, man, it could be the fall of many aspects of your life, right? So that's why don't ever think about, like the brother said, don't ever think about things in the past. Always be thinking towards the future. Be prudent, right? A prudent man he looks well to his going. Think about things in the future and be content with what you have at that moment.
Right. One other example, man, is kind of you kind of touched on it, but you got certain people that try to keep up with the Joneses, right? Even though the Joneses is not comfortable for them. People I'm talking about, like you got somebody that just is very simple, very casual. He might throw on some New Balance, here and there. He might, throw on some relaxed fit jeans or something, right? That might be him because he wants to keep up with the Joneses, because he's envying himself, man. He got to keep up this image. Now he's starting to dress with the skinny jeans that he knows he feels uncomfortable in, right? He's buying ugly shoes that he really don't like, right? He's doing these TikTok dances and all this stuff, right? He knows he doesn't feel comfortable in his clothes, right? He doesn't feel confident, but he has to do it, right? Because he envies himself. You know what I'm saying? Because it went back in the 2000, when Baggy was cool. Hey, he was comfortable, right? He was himself. But now, you know what I'm saying, he's not comfortable. And it's all because he's envying himself. Because he want to keep up with the Joneses, man. He got to stay in a popular crowd, right? And a lot of times, man, you can find more peace with just, you know, going with the will of God and going and living through the spirit, right? If that makes sense. Tight jeans, tight pants with the Jordan 11s, right? Everybody wearing it, you know what I'm saying? You know, and that don't, hey man, that hey, and a brother could have wore them tight jeans back in the day, but the brother done put on some pounds now, right? And now he don't really even look the same with it. Now he's extra uncomfortable, right? Carrying all that weight with them skinny behind pants on, man. You know? So envying yourself, envying yourself, man, it can make you look like a fool to others too, right? You know, and so we gotta be aware of these things. Like brother Park said, it's all ties into pride, right? And the brother Azrael mentioned that earlier. That's what it all boils down to is pride, right? It all boils down to pride, and nothing good comes from pride.
But sin. That's all. But But if the brother don't have anything else to say, man, been having a lot of technical difficulties, man. Satan.
Y'all might, hey, no, you just need some new Wi-Fi, bro.
I don't know, man. When we was in our last spot, it was the Wi-Fi too. So it might not be the Wi-Fi. It might just be the laptop. I don't know. But with that, man, we're gonna say shalom. Shalom to all the brothers and sisters that got on and that will watch this in the future. Hope this video was edifying through the spirit of the Most High God who gives us utterance, right, to speak and to even be vessels, right? We give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High God by the way of his Son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation, right? We're the hopeful elect. This was a Think About It Thursday. I'm Azrael.
I'm Brother Dana.
Khan. Shalom. You might have to end it because I'm on my phone.
God, the brother said we gotta pull an all-nighter. Maybe next time. Shalom.
Shalom.